Presidents Burks and Fauci, who seem to be in many ways basically the presidents now, were on TV yesterday, of course, and they're on TV every day, all day pretty much. And there were a couple of moments with these two that I want to go back and review. First, let's look at Dr. Fauci on CNN seeming to indicate that he would support a national stay-at-home order from the president for the entire country. And he doesn't say that exactly, but he really seems to be implying it. Listen to this.
Dr. Fauci, I want to get to viewer questions in just a moment. For first, knowing the science, does it make sense to you that some states are still not issuing stay-at-home orders? I mean, whether there should be a federally mandated directive for that or not, I guess that's more of a political question, but just scientifically, doesn't everybody have to be on the same page with this stuff?
Yeah, I think so, Anderson. I don't understand why that's not happening. As you said, you know, the tension between federally mandated versus states' rights to do what they want is something I don't want to get into. But if you look at what's going on in this country, I just don't understand why we're not doing that. We really should be.
So he says he doesn't want to get into the tension between states' rights and the federal government and all of that. Well, yeah, he's a doctor, not a constitutional scholar, also not an economist. He has an expertise in one area. Unfortunately, there are many more areas that are being implicated in everything that's going on right now. This is not just a medical situation. There's also an economic aspect of it. There's a legal aspect of it, which is why I think it's a problem when doctors are allowed to set the policy, set the course, and decide everything. They get to decide everything that we do. But they only know about one thing. Now, I've said from the very beginning that when it comes to the medical, scientific questions, we have no choice but to go to the people who have expertise in that area. You know, I don't know much about viruses or diseases. Most of us don't. And so you have to go to sources. Now, that doesn't mean that you implicitly trust just one person because they happen to be on TV all the time. But you look at a collection of different sources, and that's where you go. But that's for just that part of the problem. As I said, there are many other parts, very important parts. And we're not going to go to the doctors to tell us about that. They don't necessarily know anything about all the other relevant factors. So as far as the doctors are concerned, sure, destroy the economy, destroy everybody's lives if you have to. Fauci says that it's just an inconvenience. That's what he said yesterday. It's an economic inconvenience. He said that on the day when it was announced that there were 6 million unemployed people officially put on the rolls last week, totaling up to 10 in 2 weeks, 10 million. And he writes that off as an inconvenience. According to his medical opinion, destroying the livelihoods of tens of millions of Americans is an inconvenience. And it seems he also thinks that the president acting in a blatantly unconstitutional way and assuming the dictatorial power to lock 330 million Americans in their home is something that perhaps should happen. And I'm sure he would call that just at most a constitutional inconvenience from his medical point of view. But again, that's not a medical question. His medical point of view is irrelevant to the constitutional question. It's irrelevant to the economic question. Yet he's asked about these areas anyway, and he has no problem pontificating. Meanwhile, here's Dr. Burks at the White House presser yesterday, and she is very upset with all of you for screwing things up. Listen to this.
I know you've seen the slope in the United States versus the slope in Italy. And we have to change that slope. We have to change the logarithmic curve that we're on. We see country after country having done that. What it means in the United States is not everyone is doing it. So we're only as strong as every community, every county, every state, every American following the guidelines to a T. And I can tell by the curve, and as it is today, that not every American is following it. And so this is really a call to action. We see Spain, we see Italy, we see France, we see Germany, when we see others beginning to bend their curves. We can bend ours, but it means everybody has to take that same responsibility as Americans.
You naughty Americans. You naughty, this is all your fault, you know. The curve isn't flattening, and it's your fault, says Dr. Burks in her nightly lecture. You see, if the curve doesn't flatten, it couldn't possibly be because the strategy that she has suggested is wrong, right? Now that can't be it. That can't be it. The strategy can't be ineffective. It can't be that the models that they're using might be wrong, built on faulty assumptions, using bad data. That can't be it. No, never that. You see, it's you. You're the problem. You're the naughty child. You dumb peon. You're the problem. You're screwing it up, not the bureaucrats. Okay, it's all you. It's always going to be you, because understand this: the people in charge, the people doing all of this, calling the shots, they will never, ever, 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 ever accept blame for anything ever. Nothing will ever be their fault. They're not going to stand up there and say, we got this wrong, we apologize. It's not going to happen. No matter how at fault they are, they won't accept it. They're always going to shift the blame to you and me and us. And it works because they've got Americans sniping at each other, calling the cops on their own neighbors for being outside for the wrong reason, screaming at each other, while the politicians and bureaucrats whose incompetence caused this mess escape without blame. Hey, you, you right there. Hit the subscribe button right now. Do it right now. I thank you for your compliance. It's somewhat appreciated.